Hey everyone, my name is Sarah, and today I'm going to be talking about this book called Pages & Co. Tilly and the Book Wanderers, written by Anna James. So, this book talks about an 11-year-old girl named Tilly, well, Matilda really, Matilda Pages, but they call her Tilly for short. And she lives with her grandparents in their bookshop called Pages & Co. One day, she discovers this magical ability called book wandering when she meets Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Now, she was really confused and she was like, Alice, you look really familiar, and how do I know you? And then it kind of went from there to Matilda being in Wonderland. So, apparently, because of book wandering, you can meet your favorite characters who are fictional in the real world and quite literally so real in their world. So when she was in Wonderland, everything felt so real because it's kind of, well, it's a really bizarre concept to understand. I barely understood it in the beginning, but later on understood it while reading the story. So while someone is book wandering, you can feel everything is like just so real in the book because you're in their setting and not in your own setting that you're adapted to, which kind of, I guess you can say, made Matilda feel obviously very confused, but also she questioned a lot of things because her grandparents never mentioned this to her. And so one day she was like, you know what, I'm gonna tell my best friend Oscar this. So she went to tell Oscar, and Oscar was like, maybe it's because you miss your mom so much, and maybe this is all just like something you made up, or Alice is just an imaginary friend, like you're just in this phase, I guess. And she was quite offended because she was telling the truth, obviously, and she started second guessing herself later on. Like, did she actually miss her mom so much? And about her mom, Tilly grew up knowing that her mother went missing right after she gave birth to Matilda, and her dad died. And like any kid, they would, imagine and create fantasies. But for Matilda, she was just imagining how great it would be if she ever met her mom and not because of a photograph. And one of my favorite quotes that were in the book, which is, she was looking at memories that weren't hers when she was looking at a bunch of photos of her mom from her grandparents and neighbors and all that kind of stuff. She said that I was looking at memories that weren't mine. And I don't know, even though it's quite sad, but I feel like it's quite beautiful as well. Like the way how she said it, I guess. So, following along with the story, one time Oscar came over to the bookstore they had like this English assignment, so he wanted to buy a book from Pages and Co. And he was sitting there with Matilda, and then somehow Anne showed up from Anne and Green Gables. And long story short, they were both dragged with Anne into her own book and they went to her school. And so after they got out of the book, quite literally, Oscar was like, his jaw dropped, and Matilda was just even more confused with how she took Oscar with her in the book with Anne. Considering, again, it's very fictional, and how is this a real thing? So later on, her grandparents finally told her the truth and dropped this bombshell on her. So they introduced her to book wandering and what she can do and how it's literally in her blood because this is more of like I guess you can say not really or exactly an inherited thing, but her ancestors and her parents and everyone else used to do it, especially her mom, and that her dad, this is a bit of a spoiler actually. So her dad is a fictional character, not really dead, but they didn't know how to explain it to her growing up. So and so basically Matilda is half fictional, and her mom, yeah, she's still missing, but they don't really know where she is. And then after that, they go to the underlibrary where kind of all of this is run, or I guess you can say where all of it kind of not really began, but it kind of like the source, I guess, or where they control book wandering and how they take it so seriously. And from there, they meet a bunch of new people, and I'm introduced to a bunch of new characters, like Amelia, who is, I guess you can say, like the head of the underlibrary in some way, and Mr. Chalk, who's this really, really creepy man who is very mysterious and has a bunch of secrets to hide. And the book kind of continues in a way where we know more about Matilda's mother, Matilda's father, Matilda's grandparents, and how they used to work in the underlibrary, which were, again, another spoiler, they were kicked out because of certain reasons, and how book wandering has a bunch of rules and conditions, and they uncover a bunch of secrets about Mr. Chalk. And will Matilda meet her mother? Who's her father? Why were her grandparents kicked out of the underlibrary? And does Oscar have to know any of this? And how has he interfered in this? And the only way you can know, I won't spoil anything. So you have to read the book. It's really cool. It's really amazing, and it kept me on my toes the whole time. It's truly an amazing book. Totally recommend it. And yeah, that's it. Enjoy reading. Bye.